you told me not to. And I didn't listen. Can somebody tell me why this new collection from Too Faced was calling my name so much? I don't know what it was, but I really wanted to get this. Maybe because it reminded me of the gold chocolate, and I have memories with this baby. But whatever, the important thing here is that you might be going through the same thing I was going through, the back and forth, you want it, you don't want it. The good thing is that you have me, and I'm about to give you the real deal and tell you if you need it or not. Here you have the Better Than Chocolate eyeshadow palette. It is $54. In my opinion, coming from Too Faced, it's a little bit pricey. What do you think? This collection comes with a lot more things. Lipsticks, I want like 3 shades from the lipstick collection. They have a lip injection that looks so yummy in that chocolate bronzy shade. I'm a fan of their lip injection. They also have liners, but for some reason, they only have available the eyeshadow palette and the bronzer at Sephora. Can somebody tell me why? In 18 multi-finish shades, it's supposed to be rich, high pigmented, true to color, silky, smooth. The formula blends effortlessly, and yes, it smells like chocolate. Off rip, I'm going to tell you that when I put these two babies side by side, the new one and then the gold chocolate, they look similar. Even my son was like, Mommy, why do they look so alike? That didn't help. Papi, they look similar?
Yeah, this one looks like this one.
Oh, no. Let's compare this gold with this new gold. See, this one, it's more orangey. And then the one in the gold chocolate, it's more of a true gold. The eyes, you're not gonna be able to tell which one is which one. So when you put these two babies side by side, the only thing that is like, okay, they're different palettes, is that in the gold chocolate you get that green up there, and then in this one you obviously have that blue popping out. Swatches look very pretty, but I did need to build it up. That was like 3-4 passes. I want to show you this shade really quick right now so you can see that it's not giving it to me. Look at that. Like, it doesn't give nothing at all. You have to look how hard I'm going. You see it a little bit on my finger, but something that we are going to have to scrape a little bit, like I just did right now. And then it gives a little bit more. And then the blue, obviously giving a little bit more than the purple, but not what I expected. Let me bring you all up in my grill. Let me show you really quick how I created this look, and stay tuned to the end of the video for some comparisons and so I can really tell you what I think about this palette. With my Rose and Bent E29 brush, we're gonna be taking in the shade Buttercream, and we're gonna use it to blend whatever little creases we have going on right here from the concealer or the eye primer, whatever you use to prime, because everything right here has to be nice and smooth. As right now, I'm only using the matte, and I'm going from lightest to darkest. I already used this one. Now with my BK Beauty 202, I'm gonna grab a little bit of nice buns, and I'm bringing the shade above my crease. But make sure that you leave a little space right here by your brow bone, because you don't want to bring the shade up too high. I'm liking the shade. It's nice and pigmented, blending in beautiful. I like that shade. Exactly what I have here. It's what I got on the eye, and I don't even need no more. Back with the E29 from Rose and Best Beauty, and the first shade that we use, I'm gonna reapply right here by my brow bone to just clean things up a little bit. I picked up a little bit more of the shade Buttercream, and I'm applying it in the inner part of my eye to bring some light in. That looks pretty. Back with the BK Beauty 202, we're gonna pick up a little bit of the shade Cake My Day, and by the way, I'm loving the names. You already know that I lay all my shadows first on the outer V, and then now I'm just bringing the shade into my crease, and I'm blending it in slow circular motions, back and forth, back and forth. Even though we are getting a little bit more depth, I'm gonna dig back in to the same shade because we do need a little bit more. See, that's what I'm talking about. Now it's looking nice and pigmented, and make sure that you're keeping it on the crease. Now we're gonna need a regular blending brush. I'm gonna be using the Classic Crease from Sonia G. You see how this brush, it's a lot smaller than the E29 from Rose & Ben's Beauty. This is the one that I like to use for my brow bone, base, transition shade, and I also like to blow up my shadows with this one because it's big and fluffy. This is the one that you need for your crease to keep the shadows on the crease. Now with this one, I'm going to pick up a little bit of the shade Nice Buns, and I'm using it to blend the edges of the brown that we apply on the crease. So I'm just doing slow circular motions right on the edges of the crease. Rose & Ben's E29, back with buttercream, and I'm going to use it again right here on my brow bone. And I'm just going to make sure that everything right here, it's really nice and blending one shade with the other one. The mattes are powdery, so make sure that you're very gentle when you're picking it up. You don't have to go crazy. All you need is a little bit because thank God that they're pigmented. Now very, very softly, I'm barely touching my lid. I'm blending one shade with the other one right here by my brow bone, and I'm just making sure that I don't have no harsh lines. Back with the Beacon Beauty 202, we're going to pick up the darker shade, which is Brownie Points. We're going to apply the shade on the outer V, and we're going to bring whatever we have left on the brush halfway into the crease. See, I like this brush because it's skinny, small, and pointy. See that? So it keeps all the shades where they're supposed to be at. I'm going to pick up a little bit more buttercream, and I'm going to reapply it right here in the inner part of my eye. Now with my mini booster from Sonia G, we're going to be picking up the shade What the Fudge. It is a very pigmented shimmery brown shade. This shade is messy, so you have to make sure that you don't pick up too much. I'm only going to apply this brown shimmery shade right here in this area. Keeping it in place because I also want the matte brown to show right here on my outer V. Now let's do the shimmers. The popping situation of this whole entire palette is supposed to be the blue and the purple, right? But I did struggle with it. I built it up, I don't know how many times. I wet my brush, I tried with my finger, and it's just not giving it to me. I'm going to be using my Worker Pro from Sonia G, and you have to wet your brush or use your fingers. Because if you go in with a dry brush, you're not going to get anything. Like this shade does not stick to the brush at all. But I'm still going to show you how it looks dry. I'm going to be applying it into the inner part of my eye. Look at that. That's with a dry brush. It's giving nothing but a bunch of fallout, and you don't want to end up with a bunch of shimmer all over your face. It happened to me the first time. That's the reason why I'm doing my eyes first today, babe, because that's not happening again. Now my brush is wet. Let's dig back in right here into this purple. And even though with a wet brush, you're still gonna have to go in, you know, a little hard to pick up this shimmer because for whatever reason, it's not sticking to the brush. Now I'm wiping off my brush, I'm wetting it again. We're gonna be using the blue. I don't think I have to show you how it looks dry. It doesn't even show up, so let's not waste time. You have to wet your brush. And this blue is so eye-catching. That's the reason why I bought the palette. And we're gonna apply right here on the center of the lid. See that? I don't know, like I was expecting so much more from this blue. Like it's okay, but I don't know. So now let's take the tape. I have to clean up because I have a bunch of fallout right here. Now with the Morphe M431, I'm picking up the shade Milky. I'm gonna apply it on my tear duct. Let me go finish up my complexion and I'll be back. So let's do the lower lash in this eye. I'm gonna be using my flat definer from Sonia G. First, we're gonna be going in with this shade. And I'm only gonna apply the shade on the outer part of my lower lash. Now with the same brush, let's go in with this shade. And I'm also gonna apply it to the outer part of my lower lash, but a little closer to my lower lash. Right there. Now I'm going to be using my other flat definer from Sonia G. This one comes in the Kayaki set, and this is the brush that I always wet. And then this flat definer is the one that I always use dry. I'm wetting my brush, and we're going to go in with this pretty coppery shade right here. And then I'm going to be applying this also on the outer part of my lower lash. See? Right on top of the matte shade. So just give it a pop. Look at that. I wiped off my brush. I'm picking up the blue shimmery shade, and I'm gonna apply right on the center of my lower lash. I have to build it up because this blue, it's not really doing what it's supposed to do. And then now I'm just making sure that my brush is nice and clean and wet, because we're gonna go in with this shade right here. And we're gonna be using this shade for the inner part of my lower lash. And then we're gonna be using this liner from Wayne Gash. This one is the shade Blue Safari. See how pretty that is? On the waterline, I have some fallout. I'm using the shade Unfaithful from Pomegranate. I love it! We are done with the application part of this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like the look, and if you don't like it, still give it a thumbs up. After all the struggle and building up with the shimmers, I like the look right now. But look at that. The pigmentation is insane. It's so good that I'm gonna let that slide. Of course, I also picked up the Natural Chocolate Bronzer. It is cocoa infused, $35, made in USA. Only available in 2 shades, and I picked up the darkest one, which is Caramel Cocoa. The formulation feels very, very creamy, and this is supposed to give you a natural glow, but this is not dark enough. I just love the way it smells. It smells like chocolate. So hopefully this doesn't look too orangey on the skin, and I think it's super cool that this bronzer is infused with 100% cocoa powder. Let's try it out. We definitely have to build it up. It's not gonna be enough with just one pass. This is with and without. It did give me a lot of definition, and even though it looks a little bit orangey, it's not looking off on the skin. It's giving me more like a sun-kissed glow. You just have to make sure that you don't go bananas. Don't apply too much, because the orange undertone can escalate really quick and you don't want to end up looking like a carrot. And this is something that I'm definitely not going to be using for nose contour. It's just not that type of party. This undertone would not look good on your nose. I'm just going over it with my powder brush very lightly, because I was already looking a little bit too burnt for my liking. And let me tell you that I didn't apply a lot at all. So if you have a heavy hand, I'm not really recommending you this bronzer, because if you apply a little bit too much, it's not gonna look good. And at first I was telling you that 2 shades wasn't gonna cut it. This bronzer, it's giving a lot of color payoff. It built up fast. I'm just not the biggest fan of the undertone. I wish that it was something a little bit more neutral. It's definitely not a must-have at all, especially if you already have a lot of bronzers in your collection. You don't need this. But if you love Too Faced and you're a fan, you collect them, whatever the case is, and you're not as picky as I am when it comes to bronzers that have orange undertones, let me tell you that the formulation is very pretty. It's giving what it's supposed to give. It's creamy, pigmented, no fallout, super easy to blend. It doesn't get patchy, and I really love that healthy glow that is giving the skin without any glitter or sparkles. Like, I don't have highlighter at all, and look at that pretty glow. See? And let's talk about this baby right now. See, I like the packaging, but then when I really look at it, it's like, it looks cheap. I'm gonna swatch this purple right here that it doesn't even come out. That's that. And then now I'm gonna swatch this loose glitter from Jaclyn Hill's. This is the purple one. It's called Hypnotic, and I think this is gonna be something super similar to the purple that we have right there. Wow, it is, yo. Oh my gosh, and it's 100 times better. Look at that. See how the one from Too Faced, it's a lot more sparkly. The one from Jaclyn Hill's, it's more solid and a lot more pigmented. Damn. Wow. If you want this palette because of this shade, you need this one. Not for nothing, but the one from Jaclyn Hill's, it's a lot more noticeable, a lot more pigmented, and on the eyes, they pop like there's no tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, this is like 20 something dollars, but I already spoke to you about this loose highlighter from Jaclyn Hill's though. If you never tried it before, you need it in your life, at least one. If you don't like this one because it got that purple shift, then you have to try the shade Extra. Baby, for the tear duct and the inner corner of the eyes, they're everything. Same thing if you're like me and you like to blind people from a mile away with your highlighter, they're the real deal. They pop. Now, another shade that I want to compare to this purple right here, it is this one from this Rare Beauty palette. This one is the one from Rare Beauty. And it's a lot more pink. What you see is still giving a lot more than this one from Too Faced. Even though I think this one is not going to be the same shade, I still want to swatch it right next to it. No. You know what? Let's swatch this one. This one is a little bit more purple. No, they're not the same. This one from Huda, it's more pearlescent and it's giving a little bit more silver. I want to compare this blue one to some of the blue ones that I have lingering around. See how I have to build it up to get the max out of it? I have this blue from the other palette from Rare Beauty. No, this is a lot more green. Hell no. But look at that green. Oof, I love it. Then let me swatch this one from Natasha Denona. This blue is intense. Wow. And then back with this one, I want to compare it to this one and this one right here. Damn, I forgot about this fucking greens and blue. What? This shade looks similar. Let me swatch it right next to it. Even though they do look similar, in person, they're not the same at all. The one from Too Faced, it's shifting purple, and the one from Huda, it's a little bit more green. But let me tell you that on the eye, if I go in with this in the inner corner of my eye, and then I go ahead and apply this shade in the center of my lid, the look that I'm gonna get out of it, it's going to be very, very similar to this one. The packaging, it's super annoying. It doesn't go all the way back, and every time I hold it the wrong way, it falls down. We already have the comparisons out of the way. This is definitely not a must-have. I don't recommend you to go and spend your money on this palette at all, please. Some shimmers perform better than the others, like the blue and the purple, that they're supposed to be the eye-catching of the palette. They have a lot more fallout than any other shimmery shade right here. And let's be honest, I didn't get this palette. You are not going to get this palette over basic shades, like the silver, the gold, the copper, the shimmery brown shade down here. We already have all those shades in our collection in so many other palettes. We don't need no more. And even though I really love how pigmented and rich all the matte shades are, I love the way they blended, the way they transition. You can actually see each individual shade right on point. They're still powdery and very messy. I really didn't want to say what I'm about to say because I just didn't want to put it out there. But yes, this is just more of the same thing from Too Faced. They have to try harder. This is just one of those that you really, really want, but after you have it, you're like, wow, it's so boring. You already know. Don't forget to let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about this palette and the bronzer and this whole situation with Too Faced? You know that I love the whole chit-chatting back and forth with you guys. I love you to the moon and back. Mwah. See you on the next one.